first siren alert would be about 7:10 or slightly later than that, between 7:10, say 7:15, and it was, the first planes would have approached by about 7:20, and that's at the point where people, literally from the point where the first planes started to appear, people quickly realised that this was a different night. It was different to anything they'd seen before. The idea was they go in, they drop flares, which hang like the chandeliers in the sky effectively, light up the blacked out area. And these flares take about 15 minutes to descend and effectively start dropping incendiaries. And the idea is for them, as pathfinders, was to lay the target, effectively lay the target with fire. Because the people who were going to follow them, which is an estimated number of, sometimes people will say 500, but the Germans reckon there are probably about 360 aircraft followed through, and these pilots weren't so good because this was a specialist squad who came in. The pilots afterwards literally had to follow the light. Well, basically that night, the cathedral was like anywhere else in the city. It was, everywhere had to be guarded, fire guarded, and every district of the city, every single street had people who were responsible for actually guarding them. And it was the same with the cathedral, but there, of course, you had this situation where you had 14 different roof levels, because there was the main building, the side aisles, and the various parts. So, and all you had was the vicar and 2 assistants and Jock, the stonemason, and they were actually trying to, literally looking out all night with the bombs dropping around and seeing the various high explosives going off. There was a string of incendiaries fell on the south side of the building, which are basically these things with a long piece here. It's got a long sort of round piece on the end, and these would fall in strings. They were packed into planes in boxes, which exploded when they were being dropped to a certain height to make a scatter of these things, and they would drop down and literally fall and burn. So when they landed on the roof, which is a lead roof, they would lie there and they would burn and they would fall through the lead and set fire into the inner roof. And of course, when you're on top of these things, what you had to do to get to them was to rip off the lead and pour your sand in and your water with stirrup pumps. They only had a small amount of stuff up there because it was a huge area to cover. And so they had to sort of literally try to rip up the pieces of roof, get these things put out. And while they were actually dealing with this, on the far side of the roof on the north aisle, there was another string of incendiaries fell on there, which of course they didn't see because you couldn't see it from this side of the building because the middle part of the roof was higher, so you couldn't effectively see that. So meanwhile, while they were over here dealing with these, at the same time on the other side of the building, these were burning through, falling into the north aisle. And of course, in the north aisle, they set light to the roof space. And that's where the fire took hold, literally in the north aisle. And the problem was, with that, apart from the obvious thing, was the fact that back in 1882, when they did the restoration of the building, they put metal straps across the central pieces. They were basically pillars. You had your pillars, then you had your central timbers going across, and they put straps across to reinforce it. And of course, when the roof was burning as well, when it set into that roof, all of that started to burn, and of course the straps buckled and twisted, and they ended up pulling in the entire inside of the building, and that's what helped to bring the building down. Fire brigade were called, and they eventually got to the cathedral, which was difficult in itself because you had to get through streets that were strewn with rubble and parts of buildings and everything. It was very difficult to get anywhere. And they said at that point the roof was actually steaming. You could see the steam rising off the roof, and the lead was running off the roof like a river, liquid lead pouring off the roof. And by the fire service arrived, linked up all their gear, and literally started the hoses on it, and were only literally running for a few minutes, and they said it just died because the mains had been hit, and that was the water gone. What you have to remember with this is the bombing it went on for a long time. You're basically talking about 11 hours, constant explosions. So you had the constant noise of the engines going all the time, and it was just went on and on and on for hours, literally hours, and eventually it just stopped.